that I was with him, very, very engaged and very curious about, the world and its complexities. And, something, let's be honest, that he and many of his close-in advisors that he's selected don't have a lot of knowledge about. It's not surprising. Most people who aspire to be president don't have a foreign policy and national security background. The exception was certainly Hillary Clinton.
You do.
I do.
So, I mean, you tell me, because you are enjoying your retirement and all your many stars, and now, you're working in the Institute of Study of War, which you co-founded. You founded. So, you tell me whether you might have some interest in being the Director of National Intelligence, or even Secretary of Defense, or something like that.
Well, that's much between myself and Donald Trump.
That's not a no.
I spoke very frankly to him, and he understands where I'm coming from.
All right, viewers, we are getting someplace with the general. We're getting someplace. I feel like we know, but he just can't say. I want to ask you about the breaking news and Michael Flynn, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. We know him. He's on the Kelly File all the time. Many people are going to lose their minds over this. Just explain why this position is so important, National Security Advisor to the President.
Yeah, it's a real important position, certainly. Just the name itself implies that. There's two jobs there. The one is very visible, the National Security Advisor to the President. And obviously, the President judges whether that person is successful or not, because he or she speaks to that person on a regular basis, just about every single day,
that
multiple times a day.
That person's like the clearinghouse for information from the intelligence agencies, and who else?
From all the interagencies that deal with national security. So the second piece of the position gives you a better sense of it. He's also the director of the National Security Council, which has members on it from the Department of Defense, Department of State, all of our intelligence agencies, the Department of Treasury, etc. And it has its own staff, which now is about 400. Senate Armed Services Committee wants to reduce it. So those are the two jobs.
So he doesn't need to be confirmed in that position. He can just, if Donald Trump wants him, he's got him. But people are already pointing to some controversial statements that General Flynn has said in the past, including, let me pull it up, this one from his Twitter account. This is from April, last April. Fear of Muslims is rational, in all capital letters, rational. Please forward this to others. The truth fears no questions. His language like that, and his General Flynn's somewhat controversial history, especially with the Democrats, going to hurt him at all? Can it?
Well, as I said before, he's advising the President of the United States. That's between the two of them. The President's going to judge whether Flynn is doing a good job or not. The other thing he does, so I can just carry that thought a little further, when the President makes a decision to implement a national security policy, it'll be General Flynn's job to coordinate all of the agencies I mentioned in the execution of that policy. And also,
you feel good about it? Do you feel like General Flynn can do this?
I know him. He's a good guy. This is about the President's confidence in somebody that he knows, somebody he likes, and somebody he trusts. Okay. That's what this is really all about.
We got our eyes on you, General Jack.
I frankly don't think whether we think he's a good guy or not, or a great guy or bad guy, it's not even relevant. This is about the President picking a guy he wants to talk to every single day about national security. That's what's important.
Just telling you. Watching you. I'm going to see you going back into Trump Tower. I'm going to see a big announcement. I hope you come right here to Kelly File first after you get it. Great to see you.
Good talking to you, Megan.
Stuff's happening. Also with us tonight, Katrina Pearson, who's the former Trump campaign national spokesperson, and Matt Bennett, who's co-founder of The Third Way and a former deputy assistant to President Bill Clinton. Great to see you both. So let me just start with you on this, Katrina. It's now being confirmed, Ed Henry has confirmed General Michael Flynn, and he's already taking the incoming on this. What say you to the people who say he sat in on intelligence briefings while he was advising foreign clients? He made the controversial tweet about how fear of Muslims is rational, not radical Muslims, but just Muslims. Your thoughts?
Well, I won't confirm or deny the appointment simply until the transition team does. I don't want to make that mistake.
Okay.
Simply because we've heard rumors and people for the last 2 days. And the media can't decide, Megan, on how to shift gears from trying to defeat Trump to trying to actually cover him by holding him to a completely non-existent standard. And it's really bad when David Axelrod, chief strategist to Barack Obama, took to Twitter today to remind the media that they didn't even have these appointments made at this time without criticism.
No one here is criticizing him for not making appointments fast enough. I'm talking about General Flynn and whether he's good for this position. I'll give it to you, Matt, on why the Democrats don't seem to like him.
He is a horrendous choice for this job. General Keene was being polite, but being the National Security Advisor is incredibly important. Think about it. Condi Rice was the National Security Advisor on 9/11. You have to coordinate all of the agencies, as the general was discussing. You have to make sure that the president's wishes are carried out by the entire national security establishment, which is gigantic. And most importantly, you have to be an honest broker for the incoming that you're getting from the State Department and the CIA and the intelligence agencies and the Defense Department. He is, by all accounts, a very difficult guy to work for, but also, and much more importantly, he's just not a good person. He's talking about how we should fear all Muslims. That is not the kind of person that you need in the most important positions.
Well, just because he made that one statement, which I've had him on the show many times, and I've heard him speak about radical Muslims for the most part, although this tweet doesn't say that, just for the record. So I don't know that you can leap to he's not a good person, Matt. Go ahead, Katrina.
But if we're being honest here, I mean, whoever Mr. Trump nominates to any position, there's going to be scrutiny. There's been scrutiny over his initial appointments, and so I think to expect that this is just going to be, icing on the cake is just completely unfounded.
Okay, but the criticism, Katrina, is that the people who are going in there that they don't have any experience, and that it just favors he's returning. He's putting people in major positions as just favors because they were loyal to him, as opposed to people, this is the criticism, who know what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah. Megan,
and the election is over, and the people chose Donald Trump, someone who had never been a politician before, because they trust him to make the right decisions and to choose the right people. And again, this is not just one person that's going to be making these decisions. There are teams that are going to be put in place. Those landing teams are going to be announced soon. Mr. Trump is brilliant when it comes to putting together teams and when it comes to doing what he wants to get done, and I think he's proven that time and time again.
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, look, he's made 3 appointments. One of them I think most Democrats are comfortable with, which is his chief of staff, Reince Priebus. But the other one, Steve Bannon, as you well know, Megan, is unbelievably controversial because he, again, is somebody who is just so far outside the mainstream. If George W. Bush had had a meeting in the Oval Office with Steve Bannon, it would have been news because it would have been a scandal. Now he's going to have an office next to the Oval Office, and I think there's going to be the same kind of questions raised about General Flynn. Maybe
But
not
you know, as Katrina pointed out, Steve Bannon was running Trump's campaign, and the people elected him, Matt. So,
no doubt.
Is there really any objection to Trump using him as he wants, President-elect Trump?
No, we can't stop it. He can appoint who he wants, and he will. But we can object to it because this is not the kind of guy that you want in the halls of power. You want somebody much more reasonable and much more mainstream than guys like Steve Bannon.
I think your objection may be overruled.
Well, I mean, there's a laundry list of controversial people surrounding Barack Obama as well. We don't talk about that.
Also breaking tonight, new reports that Nancy Pelosi could be caught in the crossfire as the Democrats get ready to punish someone for the epic losses last week. Will it be Ms. Pelosi? Plus, a fierce fight breaking out today over the idea of tracking immigrants who come here from terror hotbeds. We'll show you what the law says about this, and then we'll pick up the political fight with Hassan Shilby from the Council on American Islamic Relations and former Navy SEAL Carl Higbee. They're next. Don't go away.
Look, the president needs to protect America first, and if that means having people that are not protected under our Constitution have some sort of registry so we can understand, until we can identify the true threat and where it's coming from, I support it.